Coming up, Trailblazers, a series that takes you into the heads and homes of trendsetters to get you a slice of their lives. Namaskar. My guest today is someone who was called the Spinning Girl. She was given this name because she danced Kathak with its myriad chakkars all over the world, and she managed to spin her way into everybody's heart. A wonderful teacher. She's had many disciples, and many of them are performers in their own right. But most of all, I think Kumudini Lakhai is known for her novel interpretations of traditional Kathak. So we decided to meet Kumudini ji in her school, Kadam, which she started in 1967, and here we are. So Kumudini ji, going back in time, tell us about the major takeaways and the major lessons that you learned from your teachers, whether it was Shambhu Maharaj, whether it was your collaboration with Ram Gopal, whether it was learning Bharatnatyam from Krishna Rao.
I started learning Kathak when I was quite young. I think I must have been about 8 or 9 when I learned with many different teachers in Bombay. And I didn't learn just Kathak, I learned Bharatnatyam, I learned ballet, and Manipuri and Kathakali. Any class that my mother used to see, she would push me into that class to learn dance, because maybe she wanted to be a dancer and was not able to. So she used to push me into all these dance classes. So I learned little bit of a lot of dancing. And later, my father got transferred to Delhi from Bombay. And she was worried about how would I continue my dance. So she took along a dance teacher with her.
Oh.
Yeah, a dance teacher and a music teacher for herself. She used to sing and she used to love to sing. So this dance and music thing continued in the house, you know. Later, my father discovered that he had to keep moving. It was wartime and he was an engineer, and they were building a lot of hospitals and barracks and schools for the army. So he had to keep moving. He moved to Lucknow, to Allahabad, to Dehradun. So what happened to my school then? So they decided to send me to a boarding school in Lahore. Then again my mother was worried about what about her dance. She was very keen that I should keep up my dance. So she sent us a teacher to Lahore.
My God, that's really creditable.
Yeah. I was in the boarding school and she sent the teacher to Lahore. And he built upon the principle to let me learn 1 hour 3 times a week. And then I came to Allahabad. I went to the agriculture college. I'm a BSc in agriculture. I went to the agriculture college. And that teacher then started living in Allahabad. The teacher would come with me to Lahore. We found him a little home and he was living there, and I was continuing agriculture and then dance. After I finished my BSc, I applied for a job which I did not get because I was a girl and I was too young. And just at that time, a friend of my father's, one Komalata Banerjee, she said, would I like to go to London? Because Ram Gopal was looking for a dancer. And I said yes, because I had nothing to do. I said yes. Within a week I was in London, in Ram Gopal's group as a member of his dance troupe. Then I never looked back. Then dance was my profession. After I came back, and then I joined the Kathak Kendra in Delhi to learn Kathak properly.
Yes. So would you say that was the time you actually got a special grounding in Kathak?
That is right. That is right.
And with Ram Gopal, what was it? It was
Ram Gopal. I had learnt a little Kathak before from my teachers. So that is when I got that spinning girl thing, because I used to spin. in Ram Gopal's group.
There must have been lots of things that you learned, subconsciously when you were touring and dancing there.
Yeah, lots. In fact, this discipline in dance, which I appreciate a lot and I use a lot in my work, I learned from Ram Gopal. Right. I would say that with him, we toured the world. We saw ballet and Spanish dance and the Russian ballet. We saw Pavlova and, so that is where I knew or learnt how to respect the dance and what dance means to an individual. Right. You see, the dancers over there, I mean, dance was just their life all the time. They didn't think of anything else. And that is what I learned from them, from being with Ram Gopal. We went to America, we went to the Scandinavian countries, we even went to Poland and to France and to Spain. I toured with Ram Gopal a lot. And that is where I think I got the proper education of what dance means to a human being or to a dancer. Kathak I learned later. The Kathak, the proper Kathak, right. From after coming back. Yeah. I joined Bharati Kala Kendra in Delhi and I learned with Sundar Prasad ji and also from Shambhu Maharaj ji. But I would say Shambhu Maharaj was my guru, because from the guru you learn not just the basics of the vocabulary of the dance, you learn the spirit of the dance, right. The Atma, I would say, of the dance, which is tukras, todas, anybody can teach you. But the spirit of the dance, what Kathak really is, how it is different to the other forms, why it is different to the other forms, for instance, the whole, the space structure, how it moves in space, how Kathak moves in space, that I learnt at the Bharati Kala Kendra from Shambhu Maharaj ji. Otherwise, you will find dancers standing in one place and doing all kinds of dance which looks like acrobatics. But what he taught us looked like dance. What is the difference between just the body moving in different directions and doing all kinds of clever things? And when is it that you will call it dance? Why is it that you will call it dance? Why? How is it different? If you find two bodies doing exactly the same structured dance, but the way one does it would look different. The way the other one does it might look like acrobatics. Why is that? What is it? It is the space around the dancer, which gets the energy from the dancer's movements. And that is where dance is created. That kind of thing I learned from Shambhu Maharaj's teaching.
Yeah, coming to that, I wanted to know, you have said in one of your interviews that after having got my grounding in Kathak, I started feeling that I needed to experiment and innovate and interpret that grammar my way. And to a certain extent, you thought that, is it going to be just miming some words? So I wanted you to talk about this transition and how it happened and how did it get executed?
I did not at that time, the time that I left the Bharati Kala Kendra, and a lot of us were doing solo performances. It was mostly solo performances, always. And we were dancing at music conferences or at different events. I did not appreciate the way I was dancing.
Why is that?
Because I was just repeating what was taught. So I was like a photocopy. I was not myself at all. I felt like a jumping animals, I was just jumping here, jumping there, and spinning there and spinning there. I was not, after the performance, I didn't feel satisfied. I didn't get that satisfaction which art is supposed to give you. So what was the difference between an artistic performance and a performance for the audience at which the audience claps anyway? You know? So what was the difference? And that is what I wanted to research in. And so I changed the whole system of teaching at Kadam. The whole system of teaching at Kadam. If this hand went like this, I said, where is your hand going? Where is it? Why is it going there? It is going towards the Kshitija. Huh? And what does that teach you? It teaches you that it's never ending. The nearer you go, the further it will go. You know, that kind of. Whenever we did a movement, I tried to put a meaning into it. Where is this hand going? It's going into the infinite. What is the infinite? It's something that you cannot explain. It's never ending. You know, that never ending kind of thing got me. It sort of became a passion for me that I have to now find out what is in that never ending. You know, this is the first movement of Kathak, so that went to the horizon and that went to the infinite.
Okay.
You see, this is the first movement of Kathak, what we call Thaat. So I gave it my meaning. I gave it my meaning. We were in the Maharaji used to give us different meanings. कि गुरु आशीर्वाद दे रहे हैं, या कृष्ण और राधा का मिलन हो रहा है, और या ये कृष्ण का जो मोर पंख है उसका सिंबल है. But I wanted to give it my scientific meaning.
Kumudini ji, just tell me offhand, say for instance you have some of these traditional imageries, like flowers are blooming, or you know, somebody's pining away for the lover or something. Would you, as a choreographer, stay away from these imageries, or would you sort of assimilate that in your production, and if so, how?
Yeah, I would assimilate. It's not that I'm against that. Now, for instance, birds and flowers, we have specific hand gestures.
Yeah, exactly. So how would you interpret?
So that is what I don't like. You know, I don't like to stay to the
words.
To the words.
Right.
You know, flowers like birds flying. Birds flying. I would show them just in the sky, show the sky and watch the birds. Rather than show the bird, rather than become the bird myself, I would be the spectator and watch the birds. Right. You could do that.
Right. And you've also said that this much of what you dance is abstract. It is not based on traditional stories. So if you were to say, if there are lyrics which say birds are flying or flowers are blooming or the Naika is in great pain, how would you relate to it and how would you interpret it?
See, why did I do, all my first compositions were abstract. Why? Because whenever we were told to do some ballet or some story or something, it was always from Indian mythology.
Right.
We couldn't get away from Radha, Krishna, Shiva, Rama, Sita, couldn't get away. So what I thought was, we are imposing our mythology on the dance form. Can't dance stand on its own? Is it not an art form which has its own feet? It always has to depend on mythology. So no mythology. Let dance be dance. And that's why I did all this abstract. I did dhabkar. Dhabkar means the pulse. My first production was dhabkar, pulse. Then kolahal, noise, things like that. Atah Kim, that I've done 3 times. Atah Kim means, where do I go from there? That was, I always feel that. Now where do, even today I feel that. Now where do I go from here? Every time I have to do a production, I always feel, now where do I go from here?
We are now in Kumi Ben's office, which is where a lot of the activities of the school, which is Kadam, have blossomed from here. And now the number of students is about 150, Kumi?
150, yeah.
Okay.
That's more than 100 that I would like to actually have.
So your senior students teach them?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the East-West encounter that you had participated in.
That was very, very long time ago.
Yeah, and was it the time when you had started experimenting with your Kathak?
That's right, that's right. I did my first Athakim there. And in the morning we used to have sessions where we used to have discussions.
Did it help in any way that?
I think it did. Helped people who wanted to know why we were doing this.
Right.
Now, why was Chandra experimenting with Bharatanatyam? Why was I experimenting with Kathak? Why? So it did help a lot of the younger people. And I definitely know that it helped my students. Because after that, my students started experimenting, like Daksha Sheth, Aditi Mangadas, Parul Sham. They all started experimenting after that because they got a kind of, encouragement.
Right. A lot of emphasis is on the way you hold the spine in your choreography and in your dance form. Can you just illustrate that for our viewers, specifically in a dancer male body and a dancer female?
The spine is very important in a dancer's body, how the dancer holds himself. You see, you have to have a lot of strength in the spine and around the spine, the muscles around the spine also. Now, suppose that a male is doing, in Kathak, the dancer will play the part of Krishna and Radha also in a story, Eka Harya Lastyang, where we have to tell a story, you become Krishna, then you become Radha, then you become Gopi, then you become different things. So, suppose you are playing Krishna, then you have to hold your spine like that, with the shoulders going a little behind, see, here the neck also goes like this. And the spine is also, see, it's curved a little bit because it's going backwards. Now, when you play Radha or a woman, it will go the other way. The man and the woman. You have to distinctly tell the audience the difference between the man and the woman. That's how the audience will look at it. I mean, if you hold Radha like this, she'll look awkward. Or if you have Krishna slouching like that, he'll look awkward. So, the spine plays a very important role in how you hold the body, the male dancer's body and the female dancer's body.
Right. You worked with Dhrupad, you worked with jazz, you worked with African drums, you've experimented with a lot of music. What is it, when you approach a new piece, do you give the musician, the composer, a brief on the kind of work that you're going to be doing, or is it something that evolves organically between the two of you, or is it something that the composer gives you the music and then you fit the dance into?
It depends. It depends who you're working with. Right. Like if you work with jazz, I mean, they play it their way. Yes.
But you would be giving a brief?
As you know, I worked for many years with a composer called Atul Desai, many years. Yes. And there we would sort of share our knowledge. I would say I would like it like this, and he said, no, I think it would be better this way. And we used to have lots of discussions, sometimes fights also, about how we are going to produce this. And he was a great help. His music danced by the time,
you produced something together.
His music used to dance. But for instance, I did Dhrupad recently. Okay. They are not going to change. They will keep it the way it is. In it they're very traditional, Jod, Jhala, Alap, Jod, Jhala. They're going to keep it like that. So I had to adjust. It was the most difficult task for me to do it because it's so slow in the beginning, and their alap goes on for so long. So how many movements can you put in? You have to, so I had to create a lot of new movement patterns.
There are 2 or 3 other important facets about your choreography. One is the gradation of color.
How I design my costumes.
Yes.
I design my own costumes. Like I choose one color. Say I choose a brown. Then I go from yellow to the green brown to the blue brown to the brown brown to the red brown. You know, I choose the different grades, shades of brown. And then when I do the choreography, I sort of see now which brown will this girl be wearing. So I do the choreography also with a little, I take little swashes of the color and put them around their neck so that I know which, yes, during choreography. So I know which color she's using, and so I see that the colors don't clash, or sometimes they come together in a way that they themselves create a design. Rather than the dancers, the colors also make a design.
So when you were innovating, what aspect of Kathak did you say this has to remain, by way of telling the persons watching me that this is grounding, this is a grounding in Kathak, where, and there might be certain aspects of traditional Kathak that you wanted to do away with. So when you were choosing, picking and choosing, what is it that you said this has to remain?
Yeah.
Otherwise this loses the purity.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people talk about this is not pure Kathak, it's lost its purity, or this is not pure Bharatanatyam.
Now when we talk about pure, there is a lot of impurity also. First of all, the stance, how the dancer stands, how the dancer moves. How does the dancer move? Moves from the particular training that the dancer has had. I did not want the very fast movements. Sometimes the dancers does very fast, it looks like they're just throwing their arms. In Kathak, what I liked was you don't throw your hand, you take it there.
Kumiben, now we are in the room that looks at the future of your dance, where all your students are working hard. How do these students of yours sustain their interest in dance, and how do they later on go on to take it on full time and then professionally? How do you inspire them?
Well, a lot of them dance for the pleasure of dance, for being connected with the dance. And they do other things like they're engineers, doctors, architects. But there are some who take to full-time dancing, professional dancers. There are some here right now. I don't know how they manage. Because you see, the dancer's shelf life is very less, 40, 45, 50 at the most. And also the returns are not very good because you have a lot of expense, musicians, costumes, lighting, traveling, makeup, and a lot of other expenses. And the returns are not so much. People don't really pay unless you are on the TV or where there's a lot of visibility, or the corporate world, you know. But they love the dance and they've taken it as a profession, and to earn a little extra, they teach, they go abroad where they earn, they get a lot of programs outside India. My dancers get a lot of programs outside India. So that is how they make the two ends meet.
What about students in India? How do they manage? How do they sustain themselves financially?
They have help from their parents, or like my husband sustained me, like, you know.
Yeah, he bankrolled you well.
Yeah, I didn't have to worry about where I'll get my next meal. So I was able to build this institute, this beautiful institute which you see. It's really quite unique. And everything I earned, I put in the institute and made it for the future, actually.
What is a day in the life of Kumudini Lakhai like?
A day.
When do you start?
I get up at 6:30. I used to go for a long walk, but now I'm not able to walk that much with the aging, you know, with my 2 dogs. And then I look at the garden a little bit, cup of tea, and newspaper, very normal kind of a housewife's life. Go into the kitchen and see what's necessary, and for today order the lunch, then get dressed and come to Kadam. And that is where my life starts actually.
So that's around 10 in the morning?
Yeah, 10 o'clock I'm here.
And you're here till?
1 o'clock.
Okay.
Then I go back home, and by the time I go back it's 2. Because we say 1, but we never leave before 1:30, 1:45. Yeah. Someone comes and meets us, the telephone rings, there's a message on the net. So then have a lunch, rest a bit, 5 o'clock I'm back again.
Oh, I see. And then the classes go on
Till 7:30.
So anything that you would like to tell our viewers as a parting gift?
I think that they should not just become photocopies. Well, otherwise they will dance just like the teacher. Not that the teachers dance badly, but then you don't want to become a photocopy of that person. You want to be an individual dancer.
With her, I realized it's not only about a particular piece or a tukra or a tihai. She teaches you the relation of the entire body. So everything from holding my spine to how to handle the torso while the breathe in, breathe out factor. So the presentation, as she always mentions, her aesthetics. So it's not only about dance. We are completely groomed with her from head to toe.
I come here to Kadam 6 months to just be around her and learn from her, because there's no end to it. But that inner drive of like doing something on your own, whether good or bad, that doesn't matter. But that is also, you know, one very distinct line of Kumiben is always there in my mind. Like, you know, it's good to be a, you know, a bad original than to be a Xerox copy, you know. So I think that line really, it haunts me most of the time whenever I challenge myself. And I think that was the biggest challenge of my life, to do something on my own, because otherwise I was always pampered here.
The association with Kumiben is, as far as dance is concerned, is very intimate. She remembers each and everyone's names. And that's, that kind of, you know, she's so personal with whoever comes to Kadam, and everybody is observed, and in a sense she notices everybody. So that in a way it gives you a lot of confidence. For young dancers it is the most important thing, and something very magnetic about her, that many of us who were studying computer science and mathematics, we left everything and started dance as a very passionate career. I remember I went to her when I wanted to be a soloist, and she said, "Kumben, should I take up dance as a profession?" Because that was a period I was not very sure. She said, "देख कितने आर्टिस्ट है हिंदुस्तान में, 25 लोग हैं, तो 25 में से एक नहीं हो सकती तू?" So you know, that kind of confidence she gives you. And a small details about when you are on the stage, how to present yourself, what should be the costume. एक भी धागा इधर उधर होता है, तो she is very, you know, very particular about it.
To refer to Kumudini Lakhai's contributions as being contributions only to Kathak is a somewhat reductionist way of looking at her work. The body of her work can be treated as contributions to the scene of Indian dance. She presented her dancers without trappings of excessive jewelry, tinsels, dupattas and all that. All of this went to present dance in its neatness. She herself, when she danced internationally as a solo artist or as part of the troupe of Ram Gopal, had seen enough in the world of the elegance of presentation, of the concerns with stagecraft. That is the kind of sensibility she brought into the dance. She took it away from the showmanship and the glitter and the glitzy kind of stuff and the one-upmanship, all of which is built into the traditional repertoire of Kathak.